I would have to go back and really look. I don't remember the last time I killed a doe with my bow.
Well, she just laid down and died. She didn't stumble or anything. She just like...
All right, guys.
$3.
One day.
Same tree.
Oh my God. I'm so...
Woo!
Holy shit! Get a shot of these.
2 farms this year. Number 1 is done.
Did you say buy cabin?
I did. I already did. Bye, cabin.
Buy cabin.
Bye, cabin. Bye, cabin.
Smoked it, buddy. Look at that. You destroyed it.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers.
All right, guys. Deer Shop Podcast, episode 29. This is the final day of Ohio's archery season. This is the Buckless Ohioans here, coming to you from the studio.
But not deerless.
Yeah, we're not deerless.
Deerless.
We're not dealers, but we are Buckless. Yep. The podcast is brought to you by Siman Brothers Outdoors and the Leaky John Boat Company. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe. Leave a 5-star review, a 2-star review, a 1-star review. It doesn't matter. Leave some type of review for us, comment, and that type of thing. It really helps. It is the last day of Ohio's deer season. We just got done tracking a doe.
Yep.
Ethan was able to take his second deer of the season.
Yeah.
We're coming to you here, Buckless, but we've all killed deer this year. We're going to kind of review the season a little bit. There's a couple guys that probably should be on this podcast as well that aren't here, but
Dylan and Freeman.
Yeah, Dylan and Freeman should be joining us.
And
here.
Tyler.
And Tyler. Three other guys in our crew that also went Buckless, but I guess I'll start because I'm talking now. It just makes it easiest. But I mean, it was a great season. I hunted from the opening day. You hunted from opening day. Ethan hunted a month earlier than us. He went down to Kentucky. Mm-hmm. It was a great season. You can see the board in the video if you're watching on YouTube. The board is as full as it's ever been. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that happened this year. Isaac killed his biggest buck ever. Luke killed his biggest archery buck, his second biggest deer ever. Alex's son killed his first buck, his biggest buck ever, his second deer. Dylan, nothing. Me and you, Alex, nothing.
Nick did good.
Nick killed his second biggest buck ever. Cassick killed his second biggest buck ever.
Jay shot a 170.
Jay killed that might be his, I don't know if that's his biggest buck ever or not.
Hard to get over 170, I feel like.
Matt killed a buck on a deer drive, which would probably be his fourth biggest buck ever. But I mean, overall, it was a great season. We had a lot of fun in here. That's kind of the point of this whole deer shop thing, is to have a good time and enjoy hunting and your buddies and everything that comes with it. So I will not say that this season was a failure. Obviously, sitting here 2 years in a row now in Ohio, I've gone without a buck. That weighs on you a little bit.
Same here.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so our last year, you went, I think are you at 2 or 3?
This is...
Because you killed, the last buck that I can remember you killing.
It might have been 21, October and 21, so it might be 3.
Yeah, we had to get through we had to go through the history books, but yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit of a stretch for me here in Ohio, 2 years. But that's not to say that I didn't have good opportunities, have good encounters. There's deer that I passed this year that I would have shot a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things, you had
a lot of encounters with a lot of good bucks that you wanted to grow.
It's the maturity of the deer hunter. There's a lot of bucks that I would have shot in the past that I passed on this year, but that's fine. That's what we're here for. I'm proud of Ethan because he passed some bucks this year that he definitely would have shot in the past.
Oh yeah.
Which is always a good thing. I know there's a couple days, and we talked about this in one of our podcasts, the Run Update. He had a couple of pretty decent bucks in range with his bow in mid-November that he let go because the rest of us were letting go, that I'm sure he, would wanted to have shot.
Had 2 bucks before and after daylight too. They were 15 yards and just didn't feel like taking a not good shot.
Yeah, the one 10-point that you didn't shoot, which was the same night that Luke killed his buck, is the buck that I had at 60 yards during bow season, which I would have been tickled to death with killing that buck. Obviously,
good
you
buck.
would have been too. He's probably high 140s, 10-point. We hunted that buck pretty hard. All of us were kind of hunting that buck pretty hard during the rut. and he disappeared right before he disappeared youth gun season, which I don't know if that means he got killed or he just ended up moving back, because he showed up late October here and was gone by late November. So, I don't know if he got killed or if he moved on. There's a couple other guys in the area that had that deer on camera pretty far out from us. They haven't had him back yet either. So, unfortunately, it looks like he might have got killed, but you never know. That deer could still be alive. So,
Yeah, who knows which way he could have went.
Right. We'll definitely be looking for him next fall, which would be really fun. Yeah, we'll go look for sheds. I found my first shed today. Shed hunting has started. I went with Nick today. 2 different farms, actually, just to we actually pulled a lot of cell cameras and just pulled like good tree stands out of the woods, like lone wolves and stuff, just to kind of get them out of the woods. And I ended up finding one shed. It sounds like we're going to do some shed hunting tomorrow. A good amount of shed hunting tomorrow. We got. We'll get into it in a minute. With me, Ethan, been doing this last week. But I'll let Alex talk for a little bit. He just got done with his park hunt. You got it this last month of the season. You had
I got all of January.
Yeah, you had a park hunt. You guys took how many deer off that?
Just ended up getting 2. My dad shot a doe 2 weeks ago, then I shot one last Friday. There's quite a few deer there for already being like 4 groups there for months before us, so there's still quite a few deer left. The night that I shot that doe is the only in-person encounter I've had, so
that's pretty similar. When we did the park thing, it was similar. Like, there was deer, but having 30 days is not a lot of time to get intel and dial it in and make it happen.
On New Year's Day we went and scouted it and looked around to see where trails and stuff were. And
was there any food at all besides feed?
They have a feeder set up there.
Was it birdseed or was it corn?
Corn.
So it was birdseed for ours. I know we've talked about that before, but ours was birdseed. But
no, they had corn there, and I mean, there's not a whole lot of food around there. There's a lot of oak trees up in there.
Yeah.
But there's just developments with nice manicured grass they probably go graze on, and there is some ag fields across the street. So
to basically preface, Alex did Medina County, the county that we live in here in Ohio. He did they do park draws. So there's, how many different parks are there that are open to hunting now? Maybe 10 to 12-ish.
Yeah, I don't know really.
More. There's a lot more than there was originally, I feel like.
Okay,
right?
so they're opening up these parks to deer hunting, and when I say parks, it's property owned by the parks. It's not open to the public. So this isn't where Miss Susie May goes and walks her dog. These are properties that have been donated or purchased by the park, but they're not open for public use yet. And they allow deer hunting, and they do it in 1 month increments. They do October, November, December, and January.
Yeah, for the bow hunt.
4 guys eat. So the 4 guys can apply basically as a team and get drawn. You get to qualify with your bow, and you get drawn randomly.
Yeah, it's like 35 to 50 acre plots.
Yeah, we've done it in the past. Luke did it. We did it. It was me, Luke. It was me, Luke, Matt, and Nick, I think, and we did it in 2021, maybe. Luke killed a doe. We had a couple encounters with some smaller bucks. There was actually a couple bucks that were like halfway decent that we ended up getting on camera like late at night and stuff. But the park that we were at was not conducive. It was a very big open area with a little bit of woods, no food at all besides what corn we brought in, which kind of sucks. There was no like crop fields or food plots or anything.
Right.
You can get some parks that are inside almost city limits that like have the opportunity to have some really good deer.
And we say city, villages.
Yeah, villages
small
and towns.
Yeah,
not skyscrapers.
One I was in was in a township.
Yeah.
So it's
right
in
outside,
the city, but
right outside the city though, like not
Right,
far
like-
from.
But we're not hunting people's like backyard developments
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a cool program, especially for guys that there's a lot of people around here that have a hard time accessing ground. Like we don't necessarily have that problem, but like it, obviously we always feel it could be better.
Yeah,
but
I
there's
wish
a
I
lot
had
of
some more properties to hunt.
right. We all wish that, and like besides our own private farms that we don't have that much else. But there are people that have nothing, or just permission
Hunt
pieces
public
that are
land.
small, or hunting public land. So this is a cool program to get them some land. We haven't done it the last couple of years for that reason. So
No
it's
need
kinda
to.
Like we haven't really felt like we needed to. Maybe we'll do it next year. We'll see. I mean, there's opportunity there. But once the cool thing they do is if you are very successful at using the program, they allow you to kind of have first come, first serve.
Yeah, so whichever group ends up shooting the most deer off of their property for the month, they automatically get drawn for next year.
I think we know some groups that did pretty well.
Yeah, they said they sent out one email. I thought they were going to do more.
So back when we did it, they never sent any.
Well, they said they were going to do like an update like every month, and
they haven't.
One email.
Yeah, what are them park?
I haven't checked my spam.
What are them park rangers doing? You know, like.
Well, it's the park workers. It's not even the rangers. Yeah. But they said the one guy shot like 6 because you can use those as management tags. Yeah. So you can shoot 6 management tags there. That's what I ended up using.
Yeah.
Because you can use the management after gun season for controlled hunts.
Right. It's kind of confusing, but it helps you maintain your tag integrity for other places.
Yeah, it's
still only one buck in Ohio, but so did you have any bucks on camera there that you would have shot?
This late in the season, I would have, yeah. There's an 8-point. It is probably 120s.
So, like, if it was a deer that was on, like, your normal farms, is like borderline kind of like...
Yeah, not early season, no.
Right,
I would have just passed for sure. But, like, sitting in the cold in January, he's getting an arrow flung at him.
I wish it was colder. This late season hasn't been that bad. Like, I had my last 3 late season hunts, I didn't wear gloves. Like, I didn't wear gloves because it wasn't even that cold. I mean, we've had temperatures in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, that little cold snap where we had that snow was nice.
It was, yeah.
And it was the only time that we had, that cold snap of snow a couple weeks ago was really the only time we had an opportunity to have weather influence our hunting and maybe kill one of our target bucks. And I did have one encounter with my target buck that me and Ethan will get into here in a minute during that cold snap, but he was on the other side of the field, and outside of that, nothing. Unfortunately, it's been kind of mild here in Ohio, and that's kind of been, looking back at our videos from the past, we have had a couple of years where there's been some decent stretches of cold, but this year was not one of them.
Yeah, even muzzleloader the last 4 or 5 years has been pretty warm.
Yeah, we had like a crazy sleet snowstorm like opening day muzzleloader this year, but it melted quick, and then that was over.
Yeah, rain.
And the last day was 35 and rainy and 30 mile per hour winds.
Yeah, I cleaned out my muzzleloader, pushed it out. My pellet was just mush.
Yeah.
It's like, good thing nothing nice rain in front of me.
Yeah, it would not have shot.
No.
So, to me and Ethan, we hunted the farm here, the home farm, pretty hard the last couple weeks. Actually, we've been hunting pretty hard the last couple months. Like the last month, I should say. So, the last 30 days-ish since muzzleloader, we've been hunting pretty hard. I was able to take a doe, and also I missed a doe. Ethan was able to take a doe and also missed a doe. So we had 4 shot opportunities that we tried to capitalize on. Came away with 2 does. I could have killed a lot of does earlier. Mm-hmm. I was specifically hunting our target buck, the 10-point that we've talked about a lot. Actually, if you're watching the YouTube version, his shed is right here somewhere. Here it is. Here's his shed if you're watching the YouTube version from last year. So we were hunting, me and Ethan specifically this last month.
But it's more like this now.
Yeah, because he broke off his G4 this year. But he's a lot bigger than that shed. Yeah. He added a lot. We've been specifically hunting him now for the last probably 6 weeks. He was the only mature deer. He's probably, pre-breaking off his G4s. He's probably upper 140 class buck without the G4s.
Very similar to the other 10-point.
Yeah. Without the G4s, he's probably right around 130. He probably lost, 6 to 8 inches of antler. But we've been hunting for the last 6 weeks. I ended up having 4 encounters from stand with him this year and 1 from the road. There was a day where I was just driving around doing some road scouting in the evenings, and I ran into him and took some really good video on a neighbor's farm, not somewhere we could hunt. Ethan had 1 encounter, but he
one on the road too, same spot that you saw him at.
Yeah, so Ethan had 1 hunting encounter, 1 road encounter. Isaac ended up having 1 hunting encounter with him opening day. So Isaac saw him opening day this year.
I might have saw him early season too.
Yeah, and Ethan might have had potentially Ethan had an early season encounter with him. All these encounters took place literally in the same 40-acre block, which we know, these whitetail bucks have, 1,500, 2,000. We're going to get into that later.
Yeah.
We got some stuff to add to this. But, they're, on the low end, 1,000 acres, high end, 2,000 acres. Most deer average 1,500 acres where they spend the majority of their time. And we had all these encounters that we've just talked about, all 10 plus in a 40-acre block. So he had a spot that he obviously liked. Very sporadic. It was very hard late season with the warm temperatures, the mild temperatures. We were not having any pattern.
No.
So he'd
disappear for 3 days, come back 3 p.m. and then leave at 4
Yeah,
and
it
then be
was
gone for 4 days again.
very frustrating hunt. He would, like Ethan said, we'd have him on camera overnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. A couple days would go by, nothing. We would have a daylight encounter when the winds were non-conducive to us getting in there. We could hunt almost any winds. What we were doing is we were hunting either side of a huge hayfield. So it's like we've talked about it in the past on the podcast, 70-acre plus hayfield. And we had a blind on each side, west side and east side. And we could hunt pretty much any wind with those two blinds depending on the situation. And every time, all the encounters I had were always across the field. Whenever I would see him, all 4 times, he was on the other side of the field because the wind was conducive to him being there, but not me. So I was able to observe him from 200 yards away and get video. That's the way.
Yeah, and my one encounter was pre-blind in a tree stand.
Yeah.
And I stuck out like a sore thumb. He picked his head up, saw me,
He was bedded when you walked up.
Yeah.
So you climbed up your stand and he was bedded
Walked
into
away.
the wood line.
came back, looked at me in the tree stand, said, nope, turned back around and just walked off. He just knew. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
he watched me come in.
He was very smart. We don't know how exactly old this buck is. He's either a 3 or 4 year old. I would love to say he was a 4-year-old buck this year, and that's his 3-year-old shed. The reality is it could be a really good 2-year-old shed, and he was only 3 this year. Regardless, season's over. He's gonna live. He's gonna be way at the top of the hit list next year, probably 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're gonna spend the next couple weeks looking for his sheds, and then after that, we're gonna spend all summer looking for him, watching him in the fields.
Doing a lot of land management too.
Yeah, he just simply outsmarted us. I mean, this deer had our number late season, and like I said, we had all these encounters, but we were unable to kill him. Me and Ethan did take a doe each in this last week. We both got him on film. I killed mine in the open field. He actually went back to our Taj blind today, last day of season, was able to kill his doe.
I got Anthony's button buck on film, but it's on my phone, so it's all grainy and shaky.
Yeah, we need to get you a camera set up or something. Like we got
Well, I
some of
got
these
that
old
Osmo
cameras.
Plus I could set up.
Yeah, but you need like a camcorder type deal.
Yeah.
It's like when you're hunting with Anthony, it'd be real easy,
Yeah, I'm sitting there doing nothing anyways.
Yeah, it's hard to do it by yourself, but if you're filming someone else, it's real simple.
Yeah, I mean, so me and Ethan were able to get a doe on kill, or we each killed a doe on film here in the late season. We each both also missed.
Mm-hmm.
So I missed one at night.
I missed a chip shot. Mine was like 20 yards, and I just whiffed it.
Yeah, I mean, the video will be in the final episode of Deer Camp Chronicles, which will probably be out next week sometime, I would assume. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I haven't even started editing it yet, but it won't take too long once I start on it.
A lot of interviews and not a lot of deer.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of B-roll. There's footage of bucks and 2 kills and 2 misses we can put in there, plus a third miss. Matt missed one. He's not here tonight to talk about
He
this.
didn't miss, but he hit it just
Matt hit
not
a
vital.
non-lethal shot this week. But, Ethan's miss was a chip shot, to be honest, and he just right over his back.
But it
right over her back.
helped me correct what I did tonight, because I was like, I know exactly what I did wrong, and I just fixed it instantly.
And looking back at the footage of your miss, we do think it might have been a shed buck.
Yeah, which I'm glad I missed that.
Yeah.
Because it was uphill a little bit, and then the camera was even with it, and I was lower, so I couldn't see its top of the head, but the camera could.
Yeah.
And then looking back.
It looks like it was possibly a shed buck.
But not our big one.
Yeah. Mine, so tonight I missed, which it wouldn't be a season without a bow miss on film. It's just
It's real funny, too.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
That's a good one.
She came out, she did a circle, and she stopped in front of the trail camera at 35-ish yards, between 33 and 35. And I had my bow set on 30 with my 1 pin, and I drew back and I put my pin even with the top of her back, thinking that'd be perfect amount of drop with that range. And she ducked, and the arrow just flew right over her back, just like an airplane. It's pretty funny. It'll be in the blooper reel this last episode.
She heard you let it go and just.
Yeah, this time of year,
ducked
if your shot's not within how far was your shot? Did you range it?
25, 26.
Yeah, I was gonna say 20, but I guess within 25 yards this time of year, the deer are so on edge and they drop so much. You almost
I mean, mine dropped too at 25.
there's some luck involved with your shot because you can aim for your dropping windage, but
Yeah,
it's tough.
though I shot at the park, it was probably 20 minutes before last light, and she came in all skittish, and she was by herself. It was just kind of weird, but she just came in, took forever to come in, and I have a crossbow. I'm breathing, and so my scope's getting all fogged up. I'm like, God damn, I can't see where she's at. And there's a bunch of, so where I was sitting, I was like in a open area, but there's a bunch of briars growing up and random stuff. So I tried to like stomp down a path where I was going to shoot him or hoping to shoot him at. But she wouldn't come, and she was behind some tall grass. I could see that, but I was like, this crossbow will blow through that. I'm not worried about it. And I was just breathing, and I could just see silhouette. I'm like, I think I can hit her. Double
Smoked
under.
her,
Yeah. She ran 35 yards downhill in a muddy mudslide. I had to drag her out of that.
It was raining that night too, wasn't it?
No.
No.
It started
it's just
to
been real
mist
wet.
a little bit. Yeah,
It's
it
been
was
real wet all late.
So wet.
So I will say that like there is a huge advantage to having the crossbow late season. I know like last year I took a crossbow on a few hunts when I was still hunting birds' nests late season. I was doing some ground sits outside of a blind, doing anything I could on this tiny piece of property to kill this buck, and I hunted with a crossbow. I think it might have been the first time in my life I've ever hunted with a crossbow, but I took it because
Sinner. You're a sinner.
I know. If you're ground hunting with a compound bow, trying to draw, and it's a mess. You know?
Yeah.
And Nick killed his buck last year with a crossbow.
I killed mine too.
You killed yours with a crossbow.
Yeah, especially when it's cold like this, you got all that gear on. You're trying to draw,
it's just a mess.
you
I was pretty
practice
lucky
all
tonight.
summer in the t-shirt, and
To be fair, you killed your biggest buck this time of year
I
with a
did.
regular bow from a blind.
I did like 10 yards away.
I wish we were filming back then. That would have been
Yeah, I wish even just
We missed
the
a lot
the
of good
recovery.
track job.
The
That
recovery
was so much
awesome.
fun.
It was
That
so much fun. Blood,
epic.
snow, big buck.
Yeah,
What year was that?
2009.
Holy
January 26th.
I was
fucking
12.
Shit, that's 15 years ago.
Like actually
Yeah.
12 years old.
15
You're
years
right.
ago.
Yeah, it's
God damn it. That's hard to fathom actually now thinking
Yeah.
about it, but
Well, you're old, so, and you're even older.
yeah,
it's-
basically.
that's life.
So that's our late season recap. I mean, looking back, I had 2 opportunities at really good bucks this year. I would say, to take that back, I had 3 opportunities at mature bucks. One I passed, which is this, we call him the almost 10 that we've had, and he's been around this week actually. He's a good 3-year-old buck that'll be around, hopefully around next year. I passed him on one of my all-day sits back in November at like 26 yards. Good video. Just decided not to shoot him because he's a 3-year-old. I'm glad I didn't shoot him because he's going to make it. Be a good deer for next year. And then I had my 60-yard encounter with the north side 10-point, the buck that you had at late night encounter with. He was chasing does at night. Good video on that one too. I mean, I just, I never had an opportunity to draw my bow. I would have shot him, but he was chasing does around. And then my gun season missed where I missed that buck we call Megatron. I looked for sheds today for a good 2 hours. I spent looking for sheds today. All I did was manage to cut my nose, bleed a little bit, find some road signs washed up in the
river.
in a river, and then find a dead doe. That buck would have been great. The gun season gift. That's on the Deer Camp Chronicles. You can watch me whiffing that shot if
3
you want.
times.
Yeah.
3 times. Bullet in a tree still back there. So that was my 3 best encounters. Did you have any buck encounters at all this year?
Not when I was hunting, no. So I started out opening day going for that 10-point that I went after last year, and that evening some other
Got
kid
killed,
shot
yep.
him. So that kind of took the wind out of my sails for the season, which I wasn't going to hunt, but I had him on camera. Then the in-laws seen him in their backyard practically, so I was like, well, I got to go over there.
Mm-hmm.
Then, like I said, not a lot of activity till almost Halloween. And I didn't really have anything crazy on camera, and I didn't really hunt that much, really. This year is probably, over the last 3-4 years, is probably the least I've hunted. Last year, think I overhunted and kind of blew my spot out. But so finally got Anthony to go hunting this year. Took him out the second night I took him out. I took Derek with us because he was in the area doing something, getting firewood from me. I was like, bring your bow down. And I'm like, what can happen? You never know. I said, I'm going to put you in a spot. It's either going to be really good or it's going to suck.
Right.
And so we had a little 6-point come out by me and Anthony, and he cut across, and I was waiting for Anthony to shoot him, but I was like, I don't know how far he is. I was like, just hold up.
Right.
So then this other buck came out, and I think I just got pictures of him. He's a mainframe 8 with split brows, and I actually had the rangefinder out, and I was more steady this time, and told him, I was like, he's at 45. I'm like, put it at the 50, and once he stops, I'll get him to stop, shoot him. So he's walking, and he went the same path that other buck did. So I was like, I'm going to get him to stop. Once he stops, just shoot him. So he came out, I got him to stop. I'm just sitting there waiting for him to shoot. I'm like, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. And he starts walking again. I'm like, I'm going to stop him again, shoot him. So he goes again, stops. I'm like, shoot him, shoot him. And it wasn't real dark out, but I had him turn the illuminated sights on so he could see better. And with that, it just does each point and it doesn't illuminate how the yardage on it. So he didn't know which yardage he was going to use. So he didn't shoot, which was
that's
smart.
Good. That's good, not just winging it, you know?
Yeah. So then I tried grunting at him to get him to come back, and he took off, went across the field and went right over to Derek, 20 yards. Derek smoked him. So I got Derek a deer. Then youth gun sees him, took Anthony out with the 350. And about 8 o'clock, I looked over and just see horns crossing the field. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what deer this is. I said, I know it's a 10-point, but I don't know what it is.
Just shoot him.
Yeah, so then he worked his way across the field, and he was about to go into the tree line. I was like, just aim a little high and let it fly.
Smoked him.
Yeah, smoked him. Luckily, we didn't have to track him because there was like no blood.
And the
anywhere.
neighbor.
Yeah, so I've heard that's a thing with the 350s.
But
small holes.
We were almost shooting uphill. So I don't think it didn't go through the other side. It went in, and the bullet just
fragmented out.
Yeah, it went everywhere.
Yeah.
So then ran over to that neighbor, and 10 yards from him sitting in his stand.
Was he was bow hunting?
Yeah.
Do you think he probably like drew on him and then was like following him, and then all of a sudden like he just dropped over dead?
Well,
he probably heard the shot, obviously.
He said he saw him earlier, so he did a loop around him because I heard rattling, and it wasn't deer fighting. You could just hear that it was someone just going to town on it. I'm like,
together.
Then I was looking, I'm like, I don't see any orange because I knew exactly where their stands were.
Right.
I was like, maybe sitting on the ground or something. Then he ended up having no orange on and forgot that it was youth weekend and probably scared the crap out of him.
Calling the guy out right there.
Yeah. But he felt bad about it. He's like, oh, I feel so stupid. My kid's 18.
Did you get his number or anything?
So he was hunting on his buddy's property. So I got the number for that guy. I've talked to him, and he lets me go on his property to turkey hunt if I want. But
so that brings up a good point. Like, we've been trying to build relations with the neighbors, and we've built some good ones this year. There's another neighbor that we were cutting some firewood yesterday with Dad on a far side of the farm, and I found a double stand set up in a feeder like right over the property line. We got to go over there and talk to that guy just so we can, because who knows, all these deer that have disappeared over the years, that guy might have them in his basement mounted for all we know.
Right.
Like, we don't know, but
yeah, that guy said that the owner, he shot an 8-point. So I need to text him and see what all they shot.
It's not the big 8-point.
No.
So we've been putting some pieces together, and I'm not going to give away too much because it's people that really aren't involved with our stuff that have been just sharing some information. But there's a very large buck, very large 8-point, even bigger probably than Bird's Nest.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Wider, taller, with a kicker than Bird's Nest. This is a giant 8-point that Alex has had on trail camera.
One night.
And friends of ours have had on trail camera, and it's 2.8 miles apart is the dot from the farm. So that we always talk about deer ranges in here, and deer management, and your buck, our buck, this buck, our bucks in the area. you know, and you're trying to hunt these deer, and when they're going that far,
Yeah, with
damn, you know,
500 houses in between,
like,
crossing
500 is not an exaggeration.
Right.
Literally 500 houses in between.
I mean, there is some ag fields there, but there is a lot of houses in between there, and 2 roads that cross over there, and
It's just wild. And that deer is closer. So like that big giant 8-point that you got pictures of, the one we're talking about, it's closer to here than it is to where you're at from where my buddy's got it. So like, you know, theoretically that deer could come here, but he decided that, like, his travel route is obviously your direction because you're probably
there's
5-6
closer
miles
to here.
I mean, so Megatron and him are the same, and Megatron's 2 miles, and then it's 2.8 to yours. So
Different
like
directions.
it's closer to here from where this guy's got the deer on. From where my buddy has the deer, it's closer to here than it is to you.
Yeah, it doesn't
Which is
seem
weird.
like it. Thinking about it, it doesn't seem
But
like
by
it.
the crow fly, and you know, in order for the deer to get here, he'd have to go around a town and some other
But
shit.
Megatron did.
Megatron did, so that's weird. But
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. But yeah, so these deer ranges, and we had our deer facts episode, which is actually us 3. We did the deer facts episode in September. I
Brian
think
was
it
there.
No, just us
Nope,
three.
just us
Us,
3.
yeah.
We did it, and we talked about deer ranges a lot, and it's something that's very interesting to me because I have like this historian collection of deer. But like at the end of the day, we don't know. We don't know what their range is shaped like and how big it is. You know, we know it's roughly 1,500 to 2,000 square acres, and probably a couple hundred of that is their home range of their big range. But we don't know the shape of it. It could be linear, oval, square, rectangle, 5 points. Like,
But their home range shifts with the seasons too, because we
Right.
saw that with Bird's Nest this year. His home range
seasons
for us,
and age.
yeah,
As they get older, their range change. You would think that deer would keep a similar home range throughout their life, but it has never really been the case since I've been doing this whole deer hunting, shed hunting, trail camera thing. It has never been the case. So these deer, their home range as they get older, it does shift. They find areas to be in that they like more than where they were younger, you know, and you got to adapt to it.
Mm-hmm.
To say that you're going to have the same deer in the same place for 4+ years, 5+ years that's asking a lot. There was one that did it.
I mean, Bird's Nest did it too. His home range late season was
Yeah.
where Gavin from Wildtine killed him
But
3 times in a row.
But his rut range was changed.
Yeah, which is like
dramatically.
season, age.
But a lot can happen in just a year. Just people moving in, doing different stuff.
New houses.
New houses, people doing different stuff with their properties, and like the deer over at my main spot that I hunt, they've completely changed their patterns kind of because neighbors are doing different stuff. And
I think, like, you know, here we've benefited from having the outfitter that we talk about a lot. I think we've benefited from it. I think they've pushed a lot of deer. You know, they came in 2 years ago, so any deer that was 2, 3, or 4 years old 2 years ago that didn't get killed, I think they've kind of pushed their range out because we've seen an influx of mature deer, especially during the rut here. That maybe they're just spending less time there because, you know, from September to January, there's 5 guys in blinds every single day of the week.
yeah, and they're
That's a
driving them
lot.
out there with
Yeah.
rangers, driving them out there,
It's
picking
a
them up.
lot of
and
pressure.
Then they're turkey hunting over there, then dove hunting. And,
Coyote hunting and waterfowl and whole 9.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt us at all, which I'm not mad about, obviously.
Yeah,
but-
they
It does, but it doesn't.
yeah,
Killed a lot of small bucks.
In that first year when they killed 20+ bucks, and probably 20 of them were immature, that was rough. But
they could have.
Which
did
also
better,
affects you
but-
guys at your home place too.
Yeah, both of them. If we still had permission to hunt the other spot, that would be a gold mine.
yeah, I really want to try and get in there for shed season. I don't know, like every year I try, and every year I get no reply. But like, if I get a good reply, we'll all just get in there and hammer it, because there's a deer I want to find, and they're really bad right now.
Yeah,
Really bad. I know he's in there. I know his sheds are in there.
And he's gonna be big.
Because of the drone guys, I found out that's where he was spending his time, and
was a big, tall, and wide.
not
Not-
wide,
not
not
that
wide, not wide.
Not real wide, but tall.
He's tall.
Yeah, my dad seen him the other day.
Good. That's good. I like that. That means the outfitter didn't kill him,
Right.
which I like.
He's probably what 150s. He's low 150s probably. I would say.
I think right now, as he sits, probably mid 140s, but it's over and he's gonna live. So next year,
As long as he doesn't get hit by a car.
yeah, and that happens.
It happens.
It happens. It happens too much, but
Yeah. I didn't have so those buck encounters where they shot those deer, those the only encounters that I really had. I had Cyclops a couple weeks ago, but he shed one early. Decided that he's
have
got
you been looking
no
at all?
eye.
Have you gone over there and looked at all yet?
I just kind of looked when I was changing cards and throwing some corn out, but because then there was another taller. He just kind of went straight up. His tines weren't real tall. I'd like to see what he turns out to be next year, but he's an 8-point. I was going to shoot him if I had a shot at him in the last couple of weeks, but right when I was going to go for him and said, "Yeah, I'll shoot him now," he shed.
Yeah, right.
So I
yeah,
was like,
that's the way it goes. It's
yeah,
just
then
the
there
way
was
it
a
goes.
nice tight 9, but he had some mass. I don't know if he made it or not. He was hanging around for a long time and just kind of disappeared. So I don't. Gun season got him or something. Who knows?
I have so usually going into the late season like we are right now, going into the off season, usually I have a pretty good pulse, I should say, on the deer that are still alive. I have late season photos, this and that and the other. This year, outside of the one we've been hunting and the one that's down by your dad's that we know lived because he's living somewhere where people can't hunt him. Outside of those 2 bucks, there ain't much. I'm not having. There's just not much.
There's that 1.9 you passed. The 9.
Yeah, there's
almost 10.
The almost 10. But okay, so outside of those 3, last year we had a plethora of 2 and 3-year-old bucks on cam late season. I mean, a whole bunch. Where you shot your doe tonight, there would be 4 or 5 different young bucks hitting that corn pile up until mid-February. And this year.
We did change the baiting a little bit, though. We didn't bait as hard right there.
No.
We kept some,
Yeah.
but there's a time period where there was no bait.
Yeah, because we've been trying to reel in the slack from baiting. But so this year, there's not as many up and coming bucks that are running around the farm at the moment that we know of. So it's kind of depressing in that regard. But I mean, I'm looking forward to July to see what's out in the bean fields and what's out in the alfalfa fields and building that hit list for next year. I mean, I'm sure it'll be just fine, like it always is. But going into the end of the season this year, it just feels a little.
Yeah,
it just feels a little disappointing this year, is all.
Small. Everything is small that I had on camera anywhere.
Yeah, and you love to go into the off season with a bunch of 130, 140 inch bucks to go look for their sheds to. Look
Well, there's
for.
one potential one.
Yeah, I mean there are deer.
That mega one.
Don't get us wrong, there are deer, but it's just doesn't look as promising as last year. That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
But it'll still be fun next year.
Yeah,
It's still going to be a blast.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we're rolling into the off season here. Our podcasts are going to kind of be all over the place. We're gonna get some guests on for some YouTube channels. We got 2 or 3 lined up that we really want to get to you guys. We're going to talk about shed hunting. We're going to talk about turkey hunting a lot. We're really trying to integrate some fishing stuff. I know it's, the podcast is sponsored by the Leaky Jumbo Company, and Luke, the one brother, he's not on the podcast much, but he does a lot of fishing stuff. And we really want to try to start introducing some fishing stuff into the podcast.
He wasn't fishing today.
Yeah, he was. I don't know what he was doing today. I actually didn't see Luke at all today. Yesterday he was changing lights on cars and just tinkering, but yeah, we'll see where the podcast takes us the next couple months. I love to integrate all kinds of different stuff. We got all these ideas, but it just takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of coordination, and there's some fishing projects I do want to get out there that should be a lot of fun. Trout camp's coming up kind of soon. I'm not going to be able to attend, but these guys all will. There's a couple different weekends that it's happening. It's kind of split again. I don't know when's your old guy group going this year?
We're going the 10th through the 14th.
Is that when you guys are going?
Yeah, that's when we're going.
Okay.
Just Bill and Tyler are going the weekend after.
Yep. So there's 2 trout camp
Cool.
weekends.
So there'll be more people there this year than last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
one very positive thing from this year was the introduction of Deer Camp Chronicles.
Yeah, the show did well, especially the last 3 episodes. We got.
If you watch and you listen to this, leave a review on that. Let us know how you feel about that, because we think it went awesome.
Yeah, and I guess to build on that, so the Deer Camp Chronicles was our show this year, and it was a little bit different than the stuff we released in the past. It was only what we filmed right now and then, just cameras now. We didn't show any historical footage, none of that. Next fall, we're going to have some preloaded episodes. We're going to call them Deer Stories. We got Luke's buck, Nick's buck, Isaac's buck, a couple of the buck encounters I had. There's probably like 5 or 6 total episodes we're going to make up this summer that will air next October, November of this season, and the bucks that were killed or the encounters that we had with the history going back years and years.
The trail cams,
some of these
scouting
bucks,
videos.
we have 2 or 3 years worth of history with that we never showed in this year's episodes. That's going to be the plan for next year. So we'll have the deer stories, and we'll have Deer Camp Chronicles Season 2 for sure.
The bear film in April, May.
Yeah, we have the bear film coming up. There'll be a shed hunting film coming up probably in late March, early April. There'll be a shed hunting film. There'll be the bear film.
All of the Western stuff.
The Western stuff.
Isaac and Dylan. Jay.
Isaac, Dylan, and Jay's Western stuff will all come out in September of next year, or of this year. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do the summer stuff this year. There's going to be a Turkey Camp Chronicles show. We're going to do
We're going to be very busy during.
Yeah, we're going to run a Turkey Camp Chronicles show. It's going to be kind of busy, but we should at least be able to bring you hunts from Kentucky, West Virginia, potentially West Virginia, Ohio, maybe Indiana, but definitely Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So at least 3 or 4 states where the turkey camps. Most of it will be here in Ohio, but we will venture to Kentucky and Pennsylvania. We're not going for the turkey opener in West Virginia, but we might make it down there eventually to do a 1 or 2 day hunt. So there's going to be a lot of that stuff coming. The Deer Camp or the Deer Shot podcast will be every Monday. We'll still bring you a new episode.
Still rolling.
The video will be Monday evenings on YouTube. And I think that's all I got this week. You got anything?
I missed a doe muzzleloader. That's another story I didn't get to.
Oh, no, you had wet powder, right? Clickety, click, clack.
It was downpouring when we got down there. We were late to meet up with the guys that do a drive, so we had to walk like 2 miles to get to our standing points. And I get there, get up the hill a little bit so I could see a little bit better, looking at another hill coming down. Turn around, and there's deer right there. So I try to shoot, just clicks, nothing happens. So I'd redo the bolt, hang fire, and I was just like disappointed. Yeah. And
muzzleloaders are tough when that weather's shitty.
Yeah.
Like, they're tough.
You have to hunt out of a blind pretty much.
Yeah, or they have like those condoms for the end.
Yeah. Yeah, you just take latex glove and cut the fingers off.
Or use an actual condom.
Could do that, but they might slide off.
Yeah. All right, guys. Deer Shot Podcast, episode 29. We're out.
We're out of here.